What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the attempted, review bomb of Horizon Forbidden West on Metacritic. But honestly, it's a little bit more than that. And I want to discuss the opposite, part of that as well. So what was going on? Well, I believe it was yesterday, Saturday, in around the morning time, that people just started giving the game 0 out of 10. Now, and let's just start kind of right there, right? Does this game, have problems with it? Of course it does. Is this game, absolutely perfect? Like there's nothing wrong with it? No, it would be silly to say that that's true. Are there bugs or glitches? Yes, I've experienced some myself. I know there's others that have experienced them. There are definitely, again, back to the first part, there are definitely issues. Now, do you give a game a 0 out of 10 for that? No. No, you don't. Obviously, I guess the bugs and glitches obviously does get people a little crazy, but I really think that was kind of the catalyst for people that just don't like Horizon or Xbox fanboys or whatever to attack it. And by the way, I'm not saying this is anybody who doesn't like this game or anybody that maybe wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10 or has problems with Horizon. I'm not saying you're an Xbox fanboy, right? I think that's where Twitter and me draw the line where we are different, right? So, I think it opens up a bigger conversation in terms of, well, how do we review games? And when they do have bugs and glitches and, how far does that ruin the experience? And then what score would you give it based off that? There's definitely that avenue. We can maybe talk about that in a different video. But what's insane, and I said this on Twitter as well, it actually ruined that. I mean, that was the start of it, right? So you could argue that the review bombing in it of itself ruined the Metacritic score for this game. So at some point, I think this game was in the 4s, 4 out of 10, or 40 out of 100 on Metacritic in the user category. Okay, now what happened because of that actually interests me even more. And it's something that, for The Last Jedi or for some of these movies that people always talk about, they got review bombed. One thing that people always kind of forget is you can actually get review bombed the other way. Now, I don't know if you would call it that, right? But you would also have 10 out of 10s that are completely fake, that are just doing it just to do it. Same as the 0 out of 10s. Now, there's a lot more of the better score. So what happened was the game got review bombed. It got down to a 4 or somewhere in the 40s. So right now it has a 7.7 based off of 2,677 ratings, at least at the time that I am recording it. Almost 1,200 are positive, 76 are mixed, and 293 are negative. Now again, the thing is, the negative ones, those 293, they're all, maybe not all of them, but many, many, many of them are 0 out of 10. So yes, again, that's not okay, and that ruins it. While I always say I don't go based off review scores, this or that, number one, there's plenty of people that do. Now, people have pointed out to me, by the way, that there are, certain circumstances that they do go based off review scores, and that's totally, totally cool. If a game gets a 3 out of 10 or a 30 out of 100 average, right? Nobody on planet Earth likes it in the gaming journalism world, is it guaranteed to be horrible? Not necessarily, but it's probably not going to be the... So when there's something so unanimous, right, that can maybe sway opinions. And I get it. I still don't really go by it, but I get it. I completely understand it. But the thing with this, like I said, for The Last Jedi or other stuff, you really have just fake reviews. That's what this is. It's fake reviews across the board. It's not just the review bombing, although that started it, and I will blame that, right? Because you had 0 out of 10s, and then what did people do? Well, they gave the game a 10 out of 10 purposely because they saw the news cycle that the game was getting 0, so they gave it a 10 to even it out, right? And so that's literally, I actually saw several reviews that gave it a 10 out of 10, and their leading statement, right, because you type a little blog about it, and their leading statement was, I saw that the game got a 0 out of 10. So it's okay, well then your score also is fake. I don't care if you then say, well, I liked this about the game, I liked it. No. You admitted it in the opening sentence, and honestly, I think I think you can probably tell immediately you're just giving it a 10 out of 10 to match the 0, which would give you a 5 but that's why the reviews have gone up. Remember, it's a 7.7 now, but it was like a 4.2, 4.4. So it was moved up. Now, again, there's overwhelmingly positive. Like, there's way more. There's, maybe 5 to 6 times more positive reviews than negative. So there are some real ones there, but a lot of them, I think, were to counter the negatives, and then also just once they were done being countered, people just kept going. So this is why I don't, again, like, yes, there are times when reviews are handy and they're definitely fun to talk about, clearly. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying, there's absolutely nothing to reviews. But this is why I don't, Metacritic is better, in my opinion, for, averages for me than like Rotten Tomatoes, but Rotten Tomatoes specializes in movies. Metacritic, primarily, I use it for games, at least to just look around, right? But again, they both have their faults. They really do. I mean, Rotten Tomatoes I really don't like for several reasons, but one of the things for Metacritic is that you can just do this. For as much as I don't like Rotten Tomatoes, I actually really like the idea of having to verify your purchase of the thing. Now, can you do that for games? Do you have to show like your Amazon receipt or show like a digital thing when you buy? I don't know what you'd actually have to do to prove that you own the game, but I think it makes sense. I mean, you shouldn't be able to review anything if you didn't play it. Of course, there's debate of like, well, if you play 15 hours of a 50-hour game, are you allowed to review it? That's another discussion. But a base discussion should be, I don't think you're allowed to give something a score. You can say on social media, on Twitter, that you don't like it, whatever, because you're this or that, but I don't think you'd be allowed to give it a score on a website that people go to. Companies give bonuses to their developers, the people that work on the games. They'll give bonuses to them if they hit certain thresholds. Now, that's for that's for like the critic scores. That's not for user scores, because again, they're kind of, I think the critic scores are broken because game journalism is broken, but the user scores are completely broken. You can have games that are just insanely fake. So because a 7.7, I guess here's what I want to get to end this video. The 7.7 that Horizon has is not real. Okay, that number means literally nothing. And what actually kind of sucks is we're never going to have the real user score of what people really thought about Horizon. When we look back, and sometimes when I do these predictions, I'll look back at past games of franchises. You can never do that, in my opinion. You can never do that with this game because you're looking at that 7.7 and it's fake. It was brought down because of negative reviews, but then you have countless 10 out of 10s just to do it, just to give it a 10 out of 10. And neither of that's the thing. I got a lot more mad when like movies did it and people just kind of I think Eternals was the last major example of like on IMDb or on something, people giving it a 10 out of 10 just to match the 0 out of 10s. Well, those are just as bad as because you're giving it a perfect score, but you also didn't see it, and you're also just doing it just to make it look good. Isn't that the exact same reason, just to make it look bad? You just swap one thing. That's the only difference between the two. So neither are right. Give it an actual score. Now, you can give this game a 10 out of 10, by the way. Give it a 10 if you believe that. But a lot of these people don't believe that. And also, you have to think about fanboys on the other side, right? There's Xbox fanboys that I'm sure gave Halo a perfect score, Forza a perfect score. I'm sure there's Sony fanboys that gave Horizon a perfect score just because it's a PlayStation game, right? So, and that happens all the time. So that's why I would never trust it. But specifically for this example, there's no reason to trust the scores for Horizon Forbidden West, at least on Metacritic, at least on users, if we're going to boil it down to that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. If you want to follow me anywhere, all my social media is in the description below, along with our Patreon and YouTube memberships. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.